Okay, I'm just going to cut across to Wayanad. Basically, you can see the latest pictures which have just come in from Wayanad. That's the Prime Minister making a ground survey of the spot which faced one of the maximum impacts of the landslide. Accompanying him, of course, are all the officials. The Chief Minister, Pinarayi Vijayan, was also with him. The NDRF chief is also with him, basically explaining to him where the landslide began from and what has been the extent of damage in more than 200 people unfortunately lost their lives. The road to recovery and reconstruction, of course, is not going to be an easy one. The Prime Minister clearly is spending his time talking to the officials on the ground, and I think that's Mr. Suresh Gopi, who's also a member of Parliament from. Let me go across to Neetu. Neetu, can you just talk us through those pictures which we are seeing up on our screens?
See, the visuals that we are right now seeing on our screen is Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Chural Mala. This is the area. ADGP Law and Order Ajit Kumar is also with him. Now, this is the area where the final, from up top at Mundakai and further ahead, where the incident had happened and where this came down. So that is the path where right now Prime Minister he's along with the Chief Secretary, Dr. Venu, ADGP Law and Order, Ajit Kumar, them explaining to him where this entire thing happened, showing him the route where the landslide has happened. These are the visuals that we are seeing on our screen. This is from the Churalmala area. Kerala Governor Arif Mohammed Khan is also there along with the Prime Minister on the ground.
Okay, Neetu, I can see him being accompanied, if I'm not mistaken, by Mr. Suresh Gopi, MP from there, and also Union Minister. Of course, the NDRF officials also there, and there's going to be pressure mounting on him, which I think the government has made it very clear, Neetu, as you've also been reporting, that it cannot be declared as a national disaster. But huge amount of funds is what the Kerala government is also asking about. But more than that, the ecological damage which may have been caused due to excessive construction, all of that, is that been an area of concern? Do you think that's also, I can see the governor also there, and of course the Chief Minister. Yes,
yeah,
yes, Neetu.
See, along with the Prime Minister, the person in the uniform that we are seeing right now is ADGP Law and Order of Kerala, Ajit Kumar. Yes, Mr. Suresh Gopi, the MOS, is also there along with Kerala Governor and Chief Secretary along with the other officials. Now, Pallavi, to your question of the ecologically sensitive area, see, Wayanad is as such, there are many areas in Wayanad which are ecologically sensitive. We have been, every time a disaster happens, we have been going back to the Madhav Gadgil and the Kasturi Rangan reports, which is not particularly for the state of Kerala alone, but the neighboring states of Karnataka as well as Tamil Nadu around the Western Ghats areas, where they had mentioned how many of these areas should be in the ecologically sensitive areas and what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done there in these areas. So none of these was followed, and as we have been reporting in 2011 and 12, when the government considered, or when these reports came out, there has been huge protest even in these areas in Wayanad as well as in Idukki from the people saying that this shouldn't be implemented. When we were on the ground, we had people telling us, like from Churalmala area, there's somebody who told us that, see, we are sorry to Madhav Gadgil because at that time we thought this is all wrong, but now we understand that this needs to be implemented. So this was the sentiment at that time. The government needs to seriously consider a long-term solution for this, because from 2018, every year we are seeing one landslide or the other in one part of Kerala. So Kerala as such is ecologically fragile. You have long coastline, you have the Western Ghats, and in the middle you have the wetlands and the lakes, which needs to be protected. So the land area is very less. The population, it's one of the states which has the highest population density, about 800 people per square meter. So that is something which the state also finds it difficult when it comes to rehabilitation also. These are people who have been living in these areas for decades, for generations, and if you go and tell them to rehabilitate, then there's a problem. But the state state really needs to have long-term solutions at this point. Also, the construction activities in this area. Yes, the tourism industry has been booming in this area. Now, the Tamrasheri Ghats is one of the main roads when we go from the other part of Kerala to Wayanad, through which we enter. Now, 5 years back, when we go through that roads, we don't see this many huge constructions or huge buildings on both sides of the road. But now we are seeing that. So yes, construction has increased, but there needs to be a delicate balance between development. Sustainable development is the way to go ahead, but we can't completely say no to tourism. So there needs to be a balance between development and the industry.
Yeah, but Neetu, also just recently the central government had come out, Environment Ministry actually come out with certain amount of rules and regulations, not just about Kerala, but also economically vulnerable areas surrounding Kerala. But having said that, this is something which you are absolutely correctly pointing out, how do you make that balance? But the PM's visit, timing it is when the worst in a sense is over. You think the Prime Minister going there can be a confidence building measure on the ground?
For the people, definitely the Prime Minister coming to meet them and share their concerns or share their grievances is something which will really have a positive impact on them. That is something which at a time of tragedy, anyone would be expecting their leaders to come to them and give them a helping hand or a word of consolation. So that is something, yes, which the people will have. But as we have been reporting, the government and the Congress, the opposition Congress, is also demanding this to be a national disaster, and also the state government has asked for more funds basically to deal with this entire crisis. Yes, visiting, taking stock of the situation, but they are also put forward certain requests saying that we need this amount or these are what we need as a further measure for the rehabilitation. So that is what the government has kept forward. Now there is a review meeting at Calcutta. All eyes are on the Prime Minister to see that if he will make any announcements here. But in all possibility, it's not likely that announcement on the level of a national disaster will be made. That is something which the parliamentarians have also been asking, because they say that if something like that is made, then more MPs can contribute to the rebuild of this area from their MP Labs fund.
Okay. We also have Aman Sharma talking to us or joining us on the phone. And Aman, I was just talking to Neetu about this, the Environment Ministry's guidelines as far as to ensure that there's no environmental damage, because that is seen to be the reason why, one of the main reasons why we saw what happened really in Wayanad. And the Prime Minister going there, clearly no national disaster to be announced. That's the indication which are coming in. But to maintain that balance, is that something which the PMO or the Prime Minister himself would want to insist on?
See, the Environment Ministry, Pallavi, has been pressing for the declaration of the ecologically sensitive zone for the entire Western Ghats, especially Kerala and the Wayanad area. Just about 10 days back, yet another draft notification has been issued by the Ministry of Environment asking for this to be finalized within the next 60 days. But the problem here is that Kerala has always been objecting to areas in Kerala being declared as ecologically sensitive zones, because of course this affects business, this affects development of other infrastructure, and that has been seen as one of the main reasons why the tragedy in Wayanad is said to have occurred. So obviously the centre is pushing, and Bhupendra Yadav, the Minister of Environment, a few days back had also issued a statement saying that they are trying to finalize the ecologically sensitive zone area in Kerala at the earliest, provided the state government cooperates with them and lets them do this, gives a green signal to the same. That said, we now see the Prime Minister in Kerala, the Chief Minister is along with him, ministers of the centre are along with him, and right now I think the priority of Kerala is to get maximum funds from the centre to be able to tide over this crisis which has occurred. The government already saying that it has already released the advanced SDRF installment of this year to Kerala on 31st July, about rupees 145 crores. But obviously the Kerala state government is looking for far more amount of funds from the centre, and how the centre will find a way to give these enhanced amount to Kerala is something that is keenly awaited. Maybe an announcement from the Prime Minister could come after his visit is over to Wayanad.
Okay, but also Aman, let's talk about a little bit about the politics of it, because we saw what Rahul Gandhi's tweet was all about yesterday. There have been consistent statements by way of sources which have come out to explain why it's not possible to declare it as a national disaster, because there's no precedence to it. So how is it that the government plans to counter this narrative? Because at some point of time, Wayanad will also go in through the bypolls.
Well, obviously, yeah, Pallavi, that could become a major issue, because that is, I think, the Congress is trying to do now, with Rahul Gandhi saying that if the Prime Minister is going to Wayanad, it's very welcome, but also declare it as a national disaster. The government, in fact, putting out replies, given another UPA government by then MOS Mulappi Ramachandran, both in 2013 and 2000. When the Uttarakhand tragedy had happened in 2013, even then the UPA government had also said that there is no provision to declare a natural disaster as a national disaster in the guidelines. That terminology does not exist for a natural disaster anymore. Same was the case with 2009 when a big cyclone had hit West Bengal. So clearly the center is very clear that let's not get into these politics. Obviously the center will do its most to help the state of Kerala, and the funds should not be a problem, but let's not get into the politics of what terminology it will be called. Obviously, the Prime Minister going there himself, doing an aerial survey as well as a physical survey, shows how serious the center is about the tragedy which has happened in Wayanad, and the loss of, unfortunate loss of lives and injuries, and the damage which has caused in this state.
All right. Many thanks, Aman, for getting us those details. We are going to now shift focus